My name is Oscar, and I'm a 35-year-old from Atlanta, Georgia. My story is about the day my life was shattered and rebuilt by a tiny person and a terrible betrayal. She left me on a rainy Tuesday. No goodbye, no note, just a bassinet outside my office door, our son swaddled in a blanket that still smelled like her perfume. I stood there dripping from the rain, staring at the tiny fist curling in the air inside the blanket. Was a folded slip of paper with 3 words, "He's your problem." That was the day I stopped being a husband and started being a father. Her parents came to my apartment 2 days later. They didn't ask how he was or offer help. They just stood there in their silk scarves and gold watches, their eyes sharp as knives. "She's gone," her mother said flatly. "We don't know where he's your burden now. Don't call us." They turned and left. Before I could answer, for 10 years, they stayed gone, and I raised my son alone. I made his breakfasts, walked him to school, taught him how to ride a bike, and fix a leaky faucet. We built something together, something they never thought I could. They didn't see the nights I worked until my eyes burned just to keep a roof over our heads. They didn't see me sitting by his bedside during fevered nights. They didn't see him, how bright, stubborn, and alive he became. They missed it all until they wanted him. The lawsuit arrived in a neat cream envelope. The words on the page were "cold petition for custody." Their claim was that I had maliciously kept them apart from their grandson, that I had poisoned him against them, and that I was an unfit influence when I finished. Reading, my hands were steady because they didn't know what I had the night she left. I didn't just find the note. I found her phone still logged into her accounts. I didn't scroll right away because anger burns hot, but revenge works cold. Over the next 6 months, I archived everything: emails, bank transfers, messages to numbers saved as first initials. I traced hotel bookings, cash withdrawals, and one-way flights. I learned Brielle hadn't vanished out of desperation. She'd run away with someone else, someone with a record whom her parents had paid off more than once to keep quiet. Her mother's signature was on those transfers, and her father's voice was on a recording, instructing a fixer to make sure the problem went away. The problem was me. I built the file piece by piece, year after year. When I could finally afford a lawyer, I handed him a copy and told him to keep it sealed until I said otherwise. Now in that courtroom, I sat across from them, pristine, polished, and surrounded by high priest attorneys. My son was in the waiting room down the hall, drawing superheroes, blissfully unaware. Their lawyer painted me as a bitter man, clinging to a child out of spite. I let him, because when you've already won, the speeches don't matter. When it was my turn, I stood up. I reached into my briefcase and slid the sealed folder across to the judge, thick and heavy with years of evidence. He opened it and read the first page, then the second. By the third, his eyebrows rose. He leaned back in his chair and looked at me over the top of the file. "Do they even know what you have?" he asked quietly. I just nodded. The judge read for a full 10 minutes, and no one in the room moved. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. "This is deeply troubling." Her parents shifted in their seats. Her mother's hand tightened around her pearl necklace. The judge turned to their attorney. "I strongly suggest your clients reconsider their petition. Proceeding may expose them to significant legal consequences." Her father leaned toward her mother and whispered harshly. She shook her head. The judge's gaze cut them in half. "Do you wish to continue?" They didn't answer right away, but then her father muttered, "We withdraw." The room emptied fast, and their attorneys avoided my eyes. Her parents walked past me without a word, but her mother glanced at the folder in my hand like it might detonate. It already had, just not where she could see it yet. Outside, my son ran up to me, holding his drawing. "It's us," he said proudly. In the picture, I was wearing a cape. We walked to the car, and I buckled him in the rear-view mirror. I saw them watching from across the lot, their faces pale. They knew it wasn't over, because I still had every copy of every page, and I had never promised to keep it quiet. People think revenge is about rage. It's not. It's about patience, about letting your enemies walk themselves into the trap you built a decade ago. They left a baby on my doorstep and told me he was my burden. They were right, but they never understood. He was also my reason. and now he was mine forever.